The next question is, how does an indie author best go about finding a reputable translator? The process is intimidating, and I've seen so many potential pitfalls. And if I got a foreign translation, should I hire an editor? I would like to start by saying yes. Getting a translation done is a complicated endeavor because there are things that you need to know about the international market. For one thing, there are specific contracts and contract clauses that you need to have in place with a translator. You cannot just hire a translator and then assume that you own all of the rights to that and go on your way with publishing, because international markets have different contract clauses that are required within the translator author relationship. So you need to make sure that you understand what that contract needs to look like and you have it in place. So many authors that I know don't operate with a contract for anything that they do, whether it's cover art, edits, translations, narration. You should have a contract for everything. Everything should have a contract. So for instance, as an editor, I have a contract that I send you. If you hire an editor and they don't have a contract, then you would want to ask them if they would be amenable to signing one, because you want to make sure that your rights are protected and their rights are protected and everything is laid out clearly. So have a contract for the translation. So yes, having a reputable translator is difficult. I don't have a ton of experience hiring translators. I have certainly worked with translators in the past with working in a publisher, but I've never had to hire one myself. I think the first place to start is looking for recommendations from authors who have done translations in the specific markets. Now, remember, for most markets, you're going to need a different translator for every market. And by that, I mean, if you want to publish in Germany, you're going to need a German translator. If you want to publish in France, you're going to need a French translator. If you want to publish in South America, you're going to need a translator for the different languages that are spoken there. So whether it's Portuguese, Spanish, and so on. So hiring a translator is only hiring a translator for one language. It's not hiring a translator and getting multiple languages. That's the first thing. So you need to first decide what language you're going to target. What market are you targeting? So what type of translator are you looking for? Now look for people who have done this, who are using translators, and you can do a couple of things. You can look at publishing. So let's say that you're looking at publishing in Germany and you want a German translator. Look at publishing houses and look at their copyright pages and see if the translator is mentioned, because often those translators aren't working for the publishing house exclusively. They are available to hire on contract. So if you want to hire a translator in German, look for who the publishers are using, look for who other indie authors have used. And ask those indie authors. You're not going to be able to email the publisher and be like, hey, what was your experience working with this translator? But sometimes you can email other indie authors, especially if it's somebody you know or have a loose connection with. Also utilize the author groups that you're in. Specifically, if you're in any indie author groups or publishing specific groups, you can ask people for recommendations. Remember, when you're asking for recommendations, you need to specify what language, what market you're looking for. You can't just say, hey, who do you recommend as a translator? You actually have to specify what market you're looking for. And then you're going to ask them if they have a contract. You're going to ask their rates. You're going to figure out, you want to know your budget ahead of time, obviously. And you're just going to figure out whether or not they're going to work for your project. Do they normally work on romance, or do they only work on mystery and thriller? That's the other thing. You do want somebody who is knowledgeable about the genre that you're working with, because there are certain terms of phrase or other things that they're going to have to translate that fit into their market and fit into the genre both. If you get a foreign translation or an international translation, should I hire an editor? Yeah. I have heard some horror stories of translations, and even translations happening within a publishing house where the meaning has been completely changed, names, the translator changed like a theme. So yes, you do want to have an editor. And that is why you're not going to be, you want to pick your market. You want to pick like one market to start with. It's probably going to be the biggest market, whether that's France, Germany, or somewhere else. And you do want somebody who's going to be able to read it and tell you if the translation seems accurate to the English book. So that is another layer. And again, that's why it's very expensive to enter into translation. And you should only do it if you are certain that this is the right step in your career versus focusing on English market and publishing more books because it's going to take time and energy from you. And if you have the budget to do it.